Cravings on a raw vegan diet. Cooked food cravings. What do? How do you get rid of them? How do you avoid them? When I first went raw vegan, cravings took over big time. And I've never experienced any addiction quite like a cooked food addiction. In fact, I don't think there's any addiction quite like a cooked food addiction. In fact, I was talking to my friend Mike Arnstein about this, long-term fruitarian, and he said, crack cocaine can't hold a flame to cooked food. Meaning, you can't compare the addiction of crack cocaine to cooked food. Cooked food is superior. Cooked food, the addictions are like, they're real. And anyone who's tried to ever come off cooked food can tell you the same thing. Like, just the cravings for cooked food, they're so strong that they actually convince people that like cooked foods are actually better than raw food. The drug-like effect of cooked food is so powerful that it can actually convince you, trick you into thinking that cooked food is healthier than raw food. Like, it's crazy. It's like you go up to an apple tree and you pick an apple and you eat it and be like, oh my God, you're eating this sort of, you're eating raw food. But you go up to that tree and you grab the apple and you take a lighter and you light the apple on fire and you cook it and then you eat the apple. It's like, oh, everyone's like, oh, now you're good. You don't have eating disorder anymore. You're normal. You cook your food. It's psychotic. Cooked food is, oh my gosh. And I'm telling you this from someone, I eat cooked food now. Like, I eat cooked food my whole life up until about age 18, 19. Then went fully raw for 10 years. And now I'm back to cooked food. And I know what it's like to be on both sides of the fence. When you eat a raw food diet, when you eat a raw vegan diet, and you get over those cravings, and you're like cravings free, it's a different kind of life. It's a completely different kind of life. And you see everyone eating these cooked foods, and you're like, yeah, they're addicted, but you can't say anything. Like, nothing you can say. You just have to set the example. But now that, because I've been on both sides of the fence, I know what it's like. And the cooked food cravings I had when I first went raw vegan, they were so intense that I would make a meal of cooked food, and I didn't want to make the meal of cooked food. I was just possessed. I was possessed by the cooked food. That's a perfect word for it. There's like a demon in me that like wanted me to like make this food, even though I know I didn't want it. I just made it anyway because I was like possessed. And I would make this food and maybe like a couple cups of rice or something with some salt on it, some broccoli, whatever. Something super clean and simple. There's nothing crazy. No junk food. It was always clean and simple. But I just binge ate on that cooked food, even if it's something simple like I said, a bowl of rice or something. And I would eat it and feel like crap and feel really guilty for eating it. And not even be enjoying it as I was eating it either. Like, just not enjoying it, but again, feeling possessed. Like, there's like this demon in me, like putting the freaking fork in my mouth. And afterwards, I feel like crap, obviously. And halfway through the meal, I'd usually like throw it in the garbage. And then sometimes I'd even go back to the garbage, like 20 minutes later, go back to the garbage and open it up and start picking up food from the freaking garbage to keep eating more of it. Like, it was insane. Like, I was completely addicted to this stuff. And it was only after maybe 6 months or so of this, it wasn't like that every day, but maybe every other week or something, I had like an episode of binging on some cooked food. After about 6 months of that, I got over it because I switched my mindset to, I can have cooked food if I want, I just don't want it. And switching to that mindset from the old mindset, which was, oh, I can't have cooked food, I can't have cooked food, I can't have cooked food. Thinking I can't have cooked food, that made me want to binge. That made me like have this built up tension and pressure and stress that made me just snap and then have the cooked food and feel like crap. But when I switched it, I was like, yo, I can have cooked food if I want, I just don't want it. That new mindset was what allowed me to go craving free for the next, 10 years or so. And so if you're dealing with cravings, the only way I know how to deal with cravings is just not get them in the first place. Because anytime I ever had a craving, I never, ever once successfully overcame a craving. Every single time I had a craving, I fell for it. I went for it, and that was the only way of me getting rid of the craving. I just ate it. And as I ate it, I started getting better at this. Every time I had a craving, I started to take note of why I had the craving in the first place. And it was usually, I got the craving in the first place because I hadn't eaten enough. I hadn't eaten enough raw food. I hadn't filled up enough. Didn't have enough calories. Didn't have enough nutrients. So my body was like looking for nutrients, and it would just go for the most dense food, which is cooked food. So that was one thing I noticed. I only had the cravings when I was low on calories. And then I also noticed that while I was waiting for the cooked food to cook, I felt exactly like I used to feel when I went to go buy weed. I was going to the dealer's house, the dealer was coming to me. I always felt like, oh my God, I can't wait to get high. I can't wait to get high. I was just waiting to get high. And that's exactly how I felt when I was cooking the cooked food. Couldn't wait to get high. And then when I ate the cooked food, what I started to notice was that the first bite was always really exciting. I was always super excited for the first bite, like, oh my God, I can't wait what it's going to taste like and feel like. And I would eat it, and I would always be slightly let down. And every bite that went on thereafter, I'd be more and more let down. And after like the 5th or 6th bite, I'm like, I don't even want this anymore. But then I also noticed I kept eating it anyway, because I started to change, like it started to get me high, I started to change my state. And so I'd eat it and get into this more like sedated state. I would eat it and eat it and eat it. And by the time the cooked food was done, like I was just completely wiped out, completely sedated, super high. I'd have to go like sleep on the couch or something. And I remember talking to Freely about this. I was on the bus in New York with Freely many years ago. And at the time, she had just started eating cooked food again. And she said, yeah, she just got starting to promote Raw Till 4, but she was saying how when she eats fruit, she loves it from the first bite to the last bite. Like the start of the meal to the end of the meal, she loves the in process of eating the food. But she's like on cooked food, she's like after the first couple of bites, she's already over it. And she just eats it to finish it, but it's not really that enjoyable. And I found that so relatable when I was going through what I was going through. So those are some things I started to notice. And then again, obviously after I ate the meal, I felt like completely wiped out. And then putting it all together, like by breaking it down segment by segment, like how I felt before, during, and after the cooked meals, I quickly realized like there's no reason for me to be eating this stuff. It's so silly. Because on raw food, I feel totally in control. I feel totally healthy and vibrant. I'm vital after. There's no dips in my energy, no dips in my mood, no dips in my focus, no dips in my digestion, my performance. Everything's like optimized on a raw vegan diet. And so the more I got clear on this and the more I get to experience this and make these associations, the more obvious it became to me that like the raw food diet is for sure the best way to go. And again, I can eat cooked food if I want, I just don't want it. And by making that shift, that's what allowed me to, stay 100% raw for so many years. Just feeling so freaking good on it. Plus, raw food, it kept me light, kept my body weight down, which is what I wanted for triathlon. I was doing tons of cardio at the time, tons of swimming, biking, and running. And when you're doing a lot of running and cycling, you want to stay nice and light so you can crush up the hills and stay injury free. So the raw food diet kept me super light, and it's a huge advantage to eating that way that I really enjoyed getting the benefit of. So that's it. That is how I overcame my cooked food cravings, and that's how I prevented them going forward. Going forward, I always prevented them by just eating enough calories and staying full. And then over the years of never eating cooked food again, because cooked food was never in my system, it was never in like my bloodstream, I never craved it anymore. It wasn't a thing anymore. It's like you don't crave a food you've never had before. You notice that? You only crave foods that you have like positive associations to. And so one thing I did, every time I would binge and have like a cooked food episode, let's say it was with yams or something, I would then start to allow myself, okay, I'm gonna have yams. I'm gonna allow myself to have this yam, but this is gonna be the last time I have this yam. Last time I have yams. If I'm gonna have cooked food again in the future, it has to be a different cooked food. I won't allow myself to eat a yam again. So then I would be done with yams. And then let's say like a couple weeks later, I was like, oh, I want some cooked food. I want a yam. No yams. Have to be a sweet potato. So I have a sweet potato, and that didn't really satisfy. The next time maybe like, okay, no more sweet potatoes, but I'll have some broccoli. So I allow myself to have this big broccoli meal and make it like a ceremony of it. Okay, this is like the last time I ever have broccoli. I'm done with this. I allow myself to have a big meal of it. Wouldn't really satisfy me, feel like crap after, and then be good riddance. I'm done with that. So that allowed me to say my final farewells and move on and not have to deal with that craving ever again. So just some thoughts, just some ideas for you. If you are interested in pursuing a 100% raw vegan diet and you want guidance with that for 30 days straight, I've put together a 30-day raw food challenge for you. Put together all my best tips and tricks in one place, and I email you out a new email every single day for 30 days with instructions on what to do next. So if you want to join that 30-day raw food challenge, you can check out the link in the description. Also, the link in the description will get you a free recipe book, and there's a bunch of other stuff in the description. It gets you discounts on Daily Green Boost and God knows what. Just check out the links in the description. Join the 30-day raw food challenge, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. Much love. Have a great day. Bye.